Hey guys, Dark Skeleton here, and earlier on today I ran into a crazy-ass game against a shaman. This was constructed but for casual play. So I was playing the new priest deck I came up with. It's basically just to completely annihilate any kind of board state ever, has all the removal you could ever dream of. And I got matched up against the shaman, Mr. Chow! What an interesting name. Now, I haven't actually gone up against that many shamans in constructed yet. Usually I play a lot of arena mode, so really I've only done 15 or 20 different ranked games, so I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I've seen shamans do the Murloc Shaman, I've seen the Mech Shaman using the Power Mace, I've seen Bloodlust Shamans trying to rush you down once they have a huge board state. But this guy, what this guy was playing, I would have actually not seen coming in a million years. So, right off the bat, I'm kind of thinking, well, do I want to just let him build up totems like my last match against a different shaman? Or do I actually want to just play a card to have something on the board? So I go for that play just to not let this guy build up totems, and I think given that his only play on turn 2 was to really build a totem, getting to kill that for free is not half bad at all. I draw into my Ysera, which is not a card I want to see anytime soon. I'm just thinking, ugh, I got Ysera, that's totally bloody useless. I mean, any 9-drop. Staying true to these high spell count shamans I've been seeing in the last couple matches, this guy throws out a Pharaoh Spirit. That's actually not that unusual, most shamans play it. I don't know about playing it on turn 3 though, because then you're overloaded for the next turn. I decided to just trade in, drop an Arcanine. If he does want to hex my Arcanine, he has to coin it out. And ultimately I have another Arcanine in hand. I'm not too picky about losing the Arcanines. They're good, they're great with Circle of Healing, but at the end of the day it's kind of meh, and he's not even playing a aggressive deck to begin with, so the Circle of Healing combo isn't quite as necessary. He plays his Crackle, which actually gets the maximum amount of damage, which is very sad for me, because I would have loved to keep that Arcanine around. Draw into my Circle combo if I want to keep that for myself. And I believe I do. So being the control deck, what reason do I even have to respond to the pitiful stuff he's throwing out on the board? I just drop a Pyromancer, because I know I don't need all that removal against this guy. Then he surprises me with a bloody Ancestor's card. I'm like, yes, I can get a Ysera out. And then he's like, I have a Ysera too. Mine's golden though, so it's better. I of course throw out the BM, thanks for giving me a 9-drop for 3 mana. I think he's going to coin out a Earth Shock here, but I actually get lucky. His play is much lamer than that. It's just lightning bolting my wild Pyromancer. I'm not even sure really why he did that. Is it to prevent me from hitting something else with Ysera? Or, I mean, it kills a guy. I guess it's not pointless. Really, I can do a couple of things here. I just go for a Shadow Madness with the doggy and throw that at his Ysera, because I know I'm not going to be killing that Ysera anytime soon. So I've just got to whittle it down as much as possible while trying to heal my own Ysera up. I draw into a Ysera Awakens, which is a fantastic card to have in your hand, though against a deck that can burst you down like Shaman, it is a little bit risky to play something like that. I'm thinking, oh man, here comes the Hex, but it's a card that's almost as bad. It's a Dream, which means I have to deal with his Ysera now, or else he's going to keep getting Ysera cards. Him actually Ancestor calling that Ysera out was not half bad. In fact, if I didn't have my own Ysera in the hand, if I gave him an Arcanine instead, then he would have had a much easier time just rolling over the board state that I presented him with. Luckily he didn't have Hex, so the Ysera seemed to be a bit of a pain for him. I do everything I can here to take out the Ysera, Circle of Healing, and a Hero Power, which might not be the most efficient use of Circle of Healing, but that Ysera has to go. He busts out a Doomhammer, which, for some reason, every time a shaman has Doomhammer, which is all of the shamans by the way, I never seem to have Harrison Jones in my hand. I would really like to get 6 card draw now, thanks bye. But nope, he just plays the Doomhammer, throws a totem down on the field. I'm kind of getting sick of these shamans just hitting the totem button over and over again. I wonder if that other shaman from earlier secretly had an Ancestor's Call in his deck to make some cheesy plays. Hard to say. So I just go for the heal pass. A Doomhammer, I can't really do anything about it, and his board I don't care about. I'm just preparing to Holy Nova or Ysera Awakens, whatever he wants to throw out, if he ever throws anything out. the Rock Biter weapon hitting me for 10, that does hurt a lot, and for the rest of the game, basically puts me in a very dangerous position. I'm constantly afraid of actually getting bursted down, and any turn that I don't heal myself is very risky in my eyes. But at the same time, this might be the only turn I can realistically play Ysera safely, so I go ahead and do that. I'm expecting if he has a Hex, he'll just Hex it. But that's completely fine, because at least I've already gotten a Emerald Drake out of it. Then he just creates another totem and naturally kills my frog off, but at least it blocked part of the Doomhammer damage. That's the main thing I'm concerned with. I don't really care about my creatures as much as I care about surviving. I draw into Mind Control, which is great if he would ever play anything, but these Shamans, they are really hesitant to play stuff on the board. And these big spell Shamans, they're not running weak minions I can just take with Cabal Shadow Priest. And they absolutely refuse to play their big minions until I play my Mind Control, which is probably good for them, don't get me wrong, but in the end that works out for me because that means I have less pressure coming at me. All I really need to do is heal myself up. He, of course, gets the perfect 7 damage on that Crackle as well. That's 2 for 2. This guy's RNG being pretty strong. I'm not going to complain though, it's okay. The fact that I have Ysera Awakens in the hand is really important here though. Otherwise, I'd have to basically Shrink Meister, Velen's Chosen, and then Holy Nova, which would also work. And actually, on thinking back on it, that may have been a better play. Especially since I just played Shrink Meister and Velen's Chosen anyway. But hey, you know, whatever works. He goes for my 5/6 Hex Bait, which arguably isn't really a Hex Bait, because I really only have one huge creature in the deck, and that was Ysera, which is already gone at this point. But I know he has no more hexes, so whatever I have from this point forward is pretty much on the safe side. Because he has a Doomhammer and I want to get rid of it, Master Spell not being too useful, I just play it for the card draw, go into Thought Steal, and then I'm like, oh, he has a Sylvanas! I kinda wish I saved that Dispel now. But because I'm trying to soak up charges for the Doomhammer, I just play my Northshire Cleric. I don't care that much about it. I basically have everything I need in my hand to win. All I need him to do is not be able to burst me down, and those Mind Controls, the Sylvanas, will just ruin him. So just like I want him to, he uses up his charges, one to take out my 0/1 taunt, and the other one to my face, which is slightly worrying for me. I'm just constantly in fear of him bursting me down. If he had another Rock Biter, if he had 4 Lightning Bolts, or, you know, a couple Lava Bursts, whatever Shamans use to kill people with, then he could easily take me out, and even a Alakir would not be so fantastic for my health. So, just to prevent him from doing something like Flame Tongue and Bloodlust, I steal his Healing Totem, just for the hell of it. I know he's pretty much not going to play anything else I can steal with a Ancestor's Call deck. And I just give him a board which is like, hey, you need to deal with this stuff somehow. You gotta play your stuff eventually, so go ahead and do something. And like many Shaman before him, he plays the legendary Totem Pass play. I mean, really, is this guy a priest or something? I've got to assume, to an extent, he just assumes that I have Mind Control, which, of course, I do. And he just can't play into that. It works out fine for me. The longer this goes, the more I heal myself back up. So I just throw down a Velen's Chosen for the hell of it, make a 3/7 Northshire Cleric, not bad at all. He gave me a free Sylvanas, so I'm like, hey, whatever. I'll play Sylvanas. You want to Earth Shock it? Go for it. You want to kill it with any other way? Go for it. I really don't care about it. I have 2 Mind Controls in my hand. I have all the stealing I could possibly need. Then this moment is actually really scary for me. He plays his second Rock Biter weapon, which means he has 10 damage on the field. He could take me down to 4. Interestingly though, he uses it to hit the Sylvanas, which tells me a couple things. A, he really doesn't want whatever's in his hand to get stolen, and B, he does not have the damage to actually burst me down. He hits me for another 5, but I'm like, okay, well, I know you don't have the damage this turn, you're not going to have the damage next turn. He plays double Lightning Storm, which is pretty inefficient, but, I mean, against a Control Priest, you're going to expect their minions to have a lot of HP. My Northshire Cleric survives, which is great for me. And finally, he throws out a Molten Giant, which explains why he hasn't played anything this whole game, because he's been waiting for me to damage him. Sorry, that's not going to happen. Control Priest doesn't work like that, so thanks for the Molten Giant, and I'm like, yeah, he needs to deal with this, or he dies. And I know he has no hexes, most of his removal's gone. So what's a guy like this to do? Well, Clearly what he's going to do is play his second Molten Giant and a Vitality Totem to barely survive this turn. And by barely, I mean that's not going to cut it, you're still dead. Now the funny thing is, if this guy played his Vitality Totem a lot sooner, he wouldn't be dying here. Going for that Molten Giant greed, doing everything he can to force the Molten Giants to come out, hitting stuff with the Doom Hammer, not healing himself up with the Vitality Totem, he actually caused his own doomfall by trying to bring out these huge minions. It was a cute deck concept. I mean, there were situations where he almost would have won if things had gone a little bit differently. But not this time, Shaman. Not this time. I have been Dark Skeleton, hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you all next time.